Let's talk about gig economy workers and child support. Hi, I'm Alicia Kinchlow, the owner of Kinchlow Law, a family law practice based in the Philadelphia area. Now, when we talk about child support or calculating child support, we have to first determine the net monthly income of each of the parties. So that is the person receiving support and the person paying the support. Now, when we determine the net monthly income, there are a lot of things that can be considered your monthly income. And that includes not just regular wages, so your hourly rate or your salary that you receive from an employer, but it can also be additional income you receive or in lieu of what we call traditional income, other types of income. So it could be rental income, it could be income from a business that you receive, that you own and that you receive. It could be income from lottery winnings, it can be retirement benefits, it could be certain types of disability benefits, it could be money from a motor vehicle accident, even. So there are a lot of things that can be considered income. And what I'm going to do is link in the comments below or in the show notes the statute that talks about the different types of income and things that are considered income and things that are not. But we're talking again about in today's video about gig economy workers. So this is going to be people who are paid through apps like Fiverr or Uber or Lyft, something where they're paid based on someone contracting them for short projects. And so when you have someone who works primarily that way or even a little bit that way, the question becomes, well, how do we figure out what their actual income is and how do we use that to determine their monthly income amount? Now, as always, you want to speak with an attorney licensed in your state about the facts specific to your case. And there can be a range of things that can kind of make some of this information turn based on a nuance and based on some things that are going on in the case. But here are a couple of things that you can use if you are dealing with a gig economy worker. So in certain situations, let's take Uber or Lyft. Those companies will issue you tax forms at the end of the year if you earned over a certain amount of money with them during the course of that particular calendar year. Now, if you've worked at all, for example, in 2020 for Uber, then the conference officer or the master may ask you to produce your 1099 from them or any other documents you may have regarding your work with them. Now, sometimes Uber will allow people to rent or purchase the car from them, and so that sometimes there are expenses that are being paid back to the company. So you'll want to make sure that if you are the person who is driving Uber or Lyft, that you make sure you have that information as well. If there's anything that you're paying back to the company, you don't want the court to just look at the money that you are actually receiving. And the court will determine what's the appropriate way to deal with those particular expenses or monies that are going back to the company and are not coming to you at all. Now, sometimes when you're in a master's hearing, I've had masters actually ask people to pull up their dashboards to look at the amount of runs or the income they made over a period of time. One, to see whether or not a person is still actively driving for Uber or Lyft, and also to get an idea of how much income is coming in. Now, whether that's actually appropriate is another question. That might be something that's objectionable in a particular case, but that is a situation that has occurred before, or maybe even a person has offered to do that and show the court as a way of providing documentation or evidence of what their actual earnings are from Uber or Lyft. If you work for a company like Fiverr, it's pretty much the same thing. So Fiverr is a company where people can customers can actually go in and present a project to people and either have people bid on it or actually contract with a particular person for a limited project. So for example, if you want somebody to create a logo for you, you can go on there and find someone that creates a logo, and you can choose the amount that they're saying they're going to pay, maybe $100, maybe $1,000, and you pay them. And the person gets that money for completing that project for you. So when we're talking about this type of work, one of the things you should know is that there's a lot of control by the person who's doing the work over how much they actually work. They can choose to work less, they can choose to work more, they can choose to work certain days, they can choose to do only certain types of runs for Uber or Lyft or certain types of projects that are going to bring in certain types of money. Now, this becomes an issue where you have someone who's under earning or who's under earning because they know that court is coming up, and it's hard to determine what's an accurate amount of support. So in that situation, the court can make its own decision based on the credibility of the person about whether or not they are actually working full time based on the amount of work that they're doing for these projects, or if they're working less than that. And then you should also see our previous video that we did where we talked about someone who's working under the table or who's intentionally under earning in order to avoid child support or in order to get a larger amount of child support from the other party by showing that their net monthly income is lower. So in those situations, the court may decide to look not just at the work that you're doing for Fiverr or for Uber, but also look to your earning capacity. And in that situation, they're going to look and see, well, what type of work have you done before? Is there a reason why you're doing this particular type of work? Maybe you sustained an injury that doesn't allow you to go back to your previous work, and it's the only type of work that you can do. Maybe you're caring for a small child during a pandemic. A lot of people are not able to work full time because they're doing virtual schooling with their children, or they just can't find daycare. And so the only way they can actually earn money is to be able to do these projects that allow them to do it whenever they're capable of doing them in terms of time. And that's when the court can actually give some consideration to and make a finding that, no, this is an appropriate amount of income given these particular set of circumstances. So I hope to shed a little bit of light on how gig economy workers are looked at in terms of child support obligations. Some of the most important factors are determining what is the actual amount of money that is earned, whether it's an actual good representation of what people are actually earning, not just during court proceedings or litigation, but what they are actually capable of earning. And then also looking at whether or not there's an earning capacity issue and whether or not someone should have an earning capacity imputed to them based off of previous work and their current capability, mental, physically, to be able to do in terms of earning and either paying child support or being able to contribute to the net monthly income as an obligor or obligee and determining the correct calculation of support. If you have questions, you can request a free consultation for support through my office by visiting the link in the show notes at kinshallalaw.com. If there are other topics you would like us to cover in these videos, again, we're covering a video on custody, divorce, and support for every day of 2021. So if there's topics that you would like us to cover, make sure you drop them in the comments below. But until you do, make sure you hit subscribe and the little notification bell so that each time we drop a new video, you'll get it. All right, until next time, take care.